Welcome to the Attention Now podcast, where we dive deep with leaders, warriors, and game changers who live with purpose and make an impact. And today's guest is someone who absolutely is a warrior and a leader, Craig Sawman Sawyer. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you having me on.
It's truly an honor, and I'm excited to have you on the show today, and I have the audience learn more about what you're doing. You've been fighting for since you've been so young, which is great. Let's start off with an introduction. And you have so much knowledge or so much stuff that you've done. I actually cut this down quite a bit. So, but people could review everything on your website. So I'm going to read a little bit about this. Craig Sawman Sawyer is a true legend and a hero. Got his technical start in the U.S. Marine Corps. He quickly transitioned to the U.S. Navy to pursue the high-level special operations as a U.S. Navy SEAL. He served in SEAL Team 1, then went on to Naval Special Warfare Development Group, DEVGRU, then in the Federal Air Marshal Service as an agent supervisor. After 5 years in federal law enforcement, Greg served in high-threat mobility security contracting, film, television, tech advising, personal security training for the public. As a DEF Group operator, Craig gained critical combat experience in Desert Shield and Desert Storm, resulting in the decoration for heroic service. We mentioned that. Film industry already mentioned. Craig founded the Veterans for Child Rescue in April 2017 with the goal of exposing and eradicating child trafficking in the USA. In 2019, the Contraland documentary was released to the public to alert the populace to the gruesome reality of child trafficking and predators in the USA. Contraland aired to 90 million households in the US, Canada, and in 2020 on Daystar Network. The footage provides a glimpse of real sting operations, including interviews and surviving victims and world experts on the subject, and exposes the history and methods predators use to groom and abuse child. Craig, did I miss anything that you want to add, brother?
No, those are the broad strokes. I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's get started. Craig, where did you grow up, and what was your family like?
Yeah, just north of Houston, Texas is home.
Okay.
All my family is still spread out around there. My dad was a pastor, sincere and devout pastor, true man of God, and my mom right with him. And I watched my dad lead countless thousands of people to Jesus Christ. I saw miraculous healings in our church, even demonic deliverance.
Oh, wow.
And just a man just going into the hospitals and into the prisons and around the world, just loving on people and ministering to them. And I saw a lot of lives changed. And so that was the environment that I grew up in. And King David was the exemplar, the warrior model that I had in my little boy mind. That's who I wanted to grow up to be. That's how I felt like I could make my biggest contribution. I grew up, playing outdoors and football and dirt bikes and all that, and, fighting martial arts tournaments. And that warrior lifestyle called to me, that resonated to me. International terrorism was the worst evil that I had heard about growing up. And so I wanted to go crush that before it came here.
That's
That was what I
awesome.
had in my mind when I went to the Marine Corps. Wanted to go into Force Recon and go and smash those guys. And then the Marine Corps wasn't doing much with Force Recon in
Right.
the early 80s. And so I transitioned over well, I had to get all the way out of the Marine Corps, then into the Navy to go through BUDS, and had to go through 10 months of high tech A school, gunners make missile techs, well, all kind of stuff I didn't want to learn about, but had to get that rating to go to BUDS. And then because they're like, well, most people quit, so you need a job in the Navy to
You need
do
a backup, right?
when you don't make it. And I'm like, I ain't quitting. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but anyway, so then yeah, so the rest is history. Just climb the ladder to get to the top of our warrior community, so I could fight evil, and that's just what I had in my heart to do, and was so honored to see so many great men and warriors, and in the Marine Corps and the SEAL teams, leaders and people who loved their country and were willing to lay their life down to defend those that, in many cases, those that they never even met. So, what an honor and a privilege of that part of my journey, serving with such great people.
That's
So
awesome. Could I
grateful.
backtrack a little bit to when you were a kid?
Sure.
Were you always a good kid when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, later on in high school, we used to fight a lot,
Okay.
you
Yep.
know, at school, playground, and all that kind of stuff. And then, I would bounce at different country bars and things like that because that's where the big fights happened. And I was kind of into a little bit of that. That's not all that great, but I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't in trouble with the law or anything like that. I wasn't into
Okay.
drugs or any of that. So, I guess it's mild,
Nice.
rough and tumble kind of trouble, but nothing major.
And did you join the Marine Corps out of high school?
Pretty much. Yeah, I'd worked one summer for a pipe fitters union.
Okay.
And then when the oil industry kind of went into recession, I took that opportunity to go ahead and go into the Marine Corps and pursue that dream that I had.
And you had to serve your enlistment and then got out and then joined the Navy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually cut it short because I'd started off as a reservist,
Okay.
0311 infantry, and then I was gonna once I got through A school and everything, put in my paperwork to go apply for force recon, and that's when I was already in my reserve unit in Houston, put in my paperwork. Nobody would process the paperwork. I'm like, why is this taking so long? And that's when they finally let me know, hey, there's no training courses for force recon. They're kind of just sitting there marking time, if you will. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
well, then what
Okay.
am I doing here?
Right.
So
Yeah,
love the Marine Corps though.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you were a warrior, so you wanted to go somewhere where you could go fight, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
just
Yeah. What a heritage
you don't
though.
want to just be marking time doing nothing, right?
No, no,
That's
no, let's
awesome.
giddy up.
So tell me about you signed up for you went in the Navy and then how hard was it to get into the SEAL teams?
Well, I guess it's a matter of perspective. I had a friend who was a mentor who
Okay.
was a Vietnam veteran, and he told me um, he was in the SEAL teams, and he shared his mindset with me. It was a severe outlook, severe mindset, and he said, "Craig, you got to realize it's not for everybody. In fact, this is for almost nobody at that level." He goes, "When you walk onto that battlefield, you're a dead man. It's just a
Right.
matter of time." He goes, "And never forget that on your best day, a 12-year-old kid with a 22 rifle in the fork of an old tree can kill you dead. Never, ever, ever think that you're all that because death can come from anywhere, and it's only having your head out on the swivel and being particularly tuned in that you'll survive it. So you need to have a very strong discipline and alertness to you at all times, not just for yourself but for your teammates." I'm like, okay, so that's the level of severity that I went in with. And he's like, man, you should do a map study so thoroughly before you move into any terrain that you don't even have to pull out your map on the op, that you already understand what's over the next ridge line, what's over through the next draw because you've memorized it. And there's an advantage there. You have the terrain in your mind. So that kind of thing served me well. So I went in with a really severe outlook, and I think my buds instructors saw that, and I was prepared physically and I was prepared mentally, so I did well. For me, it was joyful. We were in Hell Week in Buds um, during a long around, many miles of through the bay and through a tunnel and up the coast paddling, and we're hallucinating at night. And it's like Wednesday night. We've been up for several days, and we're pretty exhausted already. And I was so happy to be there. I'm like, guys, this is Hell Week, man. We're hallucinating. This is the stuff that, few people will ever experience or read about. And they're like, shut up, Saw man. This hurts, man. We're taking pain. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just like, this is Navy SEAL stuff. And they're like, they didn't get it yet. And years later through their career they look back and they appreciate that time, but I already appreciated it because I'd been reading there was only like two books about SEAL teams before then, so
Okay.
there wasn't all the stuff there is now, but I was already excited about it, even though yeah it hurt, but I was just joyful in it. I was like, oh man, this is legendary stuff. This is epic. We're becoming Navy SEALs. And
Oh,
like
that's awesome. Cool.
so anyway, I look back on that and
So,
laugh.
they knew you as Sawman back there then too.
Yeah, yeah.
So where did
That's
the Sawman name come from?
That really came. So the best I can recollect, my buddy TJ Ship, God rest his soul, he started calling me Saw Man, Saw Mug, Saw Dude on the playground in like third grade,
Oh,
playing
wow.
keep away with a football, and Sawman stuck, and so that became my nickname, you know. So and then high school football, I was a strong side linebacker and defensive captain of a 5A football team
Okay.
just north of Houston, and I was mean and I meant business and I wanted to crush people as a D captain of that team and that persona, you know, that adrenaline rush of getting in the battle with other teams and like making the hardest tackles and all that kind of grew the Sawman um, nickname and
The,
persona, if you
the
will. So
Sawman
that
legend. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well, I
good,
don't know
man.
if it's legend, but it's
And it goes
that's
well
that's
with the
what they started
military,
calling
right?
me.
Which is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
So that's neat.
Life's a journey, right? Stuff develops so through experience.
So, but when you were in the Navy and you told them you wanted to become a SEAL, were people like, "Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen," or how did you get enrolled into that course?
Well, first of all, I had two doctors that tried to disqualify me medically
Oh,
going
wow.
in.
Okay.
One said, "Hey, this shoulder." He's looking at it. And he said, "Yeah, see this how this bone sticks up here." He goes, "That there's been a serious dislocation." He'd read the paperwork. This serious dislocation. This is never going to be good. This is not serviceable. And I said, "Hey, doc, it's this shoulder, and it's fine. Sign my paperwork. I got somewhere to go." And he's like,
Nice.
"Huh?" Like
Nice.
I'm sure he's not used to young men talking to him that way, you
Right,
know.
right.
And and he did. He signed it. And there's another one that said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you know your diaphragm is corrugated, and that's just not going to be serviceable." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I jumped up and I was like, hey, look, I fought martial arts tournaments and I win. I box Golden Gloves and I win. And I'm a D captain of a 5A football team and I hit like a truck and we win. And I've already been in and out of the Marine Corps. My diaphragm is fine. Sign my paperwork. I
Nice.
got a mission to go carry out. And
I love it.
he was just kind of confounded at my boldness and my conviction. He's like, clearly this young man, you know, is going to do it with or without me. So he signed it, and it's kind of like that. You just have to bulldoze your way forward, pull that sled, no matter the obstacles. And I was gonna go and do that and serve, and again, it went well. I was grateful for good instructors, and man, I was able to set a couple obstacle course records and buds, and do well. I struggled with the swims because I had a bad ankle.
Oh,
I'd
wow.
barely pass the swims, and then they'd send me to remedial, which is a punishment course for I can't remember how long they run it, probably 2 hours, and they try to just smoke you, just exhaust you. They have your take your top and your pants and your shirt off, and you swim with those, doing butterfly with a mask full of water, doing races back and forth in an Olympic-sized pool, and just different things to just destroy you so that you make sure never fail a swim again and end up there. Well, when I was swimming as hard as I possibly could, I would either barely pass or barely fail a swim. And so that was a struggle until I figured out the right type of fins that I needed for my
And that's all it was is the fins?
well, it was the ankle was weak, so I couldn't get the torque out of stiff fins.
Okay,
And
got it.
once I learned that floppy fins worked just fine for me, once I got to SEAL Team One, I could swim just fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's just a matter of having softer, floppier fins that I thought I didn't know I needed that. So
So going into SEAL Team 6, how tough is that, and how was it when you got there?
yeah, well, I think it's tougher still. They demand a higher level of cognition, higher level of problem solving and learning aptitude. So what they're really looking for there is not how much you know. You got selected because of how much you know. You got an interview because of how much you know, your experience and your performance, right?
And that's word of mouth, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Your leadership and your teammates, and then other teammates that are already at DEVGRU, they'll look back and say, "Yeah, he's went to war with him. He's a strong operator," or "Hey, he's weak, man. He
Yeah.
hides," and
Yeah.
and so they'll know who you are, the fruit, right, of your contributions. And but what they're really looking for is your ability to learn new things. They'll say,
Okay.
okay, you've been deeply trained to do this one way in this one box. Now solve that problem with a different tool and a different technique, completely different. Go and see if you can drop it and just adjust. Kind of like my wife says, be like Siri, in that if you're navigating and you blow a turn, Siri doesn't go, "Oh my God, honey,
Oh shit,
I
I
can't
screwed up.
believe you missed that. You need to do a U-turn and now you never listen." You're Siri says, "Okay,
Yeah.
recalculating. Now take the next right and box back around," right? It's just it's a non-emotional problem-solving sequence. What now, where from where you are, what is the most efficient way to solve the problem, whatever the problem may be? So my wife wisely says, "Be like Siri." And I'm like, that's what they wanted us to be like at DevGru.
Okay.
Here's a problem. Here are the rules of engagement. Here's the tools and the technique. Go. And so there's no time for emotion. Well, we learned it a different way back so and so. They
Right.
don't care. They
Yeah.
just want to know how quickly you can learn because it's going to be that way your entire time there. There's always going to be a new problem and a new solution because these guys develop new solutions and they're working with manufacturers to develop new tools
Right.
that allow more solutions still. So it's this evolutionary process that accelerates and you can't get stuck in anything. So they're really looking to see whether or not you put your ego aside, even though you're top performing, egos are huge there.
Oh
We
yeah.
all have that problem kind of
Yeah.
to tamp down and fit together. But they want to see how quickly you can take on board the new thing and go, okay, now you've told me this, and I'm just going to take that on board and I'm going to execute.
Yeah, I love that because
That's what they're looking for.
so many people get stuck in that box, right, Craig?
Yeah.
Where they
Yeah.
can't, it's like, hey, I'm the man, I made things happen and I know what I'm doing. It's like, dude, shut your pie hole and just get, you got to figure stuff out. But yeah, so that's
I
pretty
see
cool.
that really deeply in martial arts. Once a guy learns one martial art,
Oh, that's
you
true.
can't show him anything else because his is gospel and everything else is evil.
Right. That's true.
But if he learns two or three, then he understands like, okay, now show me what you got over here because he's open to it. He recognizes there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
And
So
you
it's
probably did
that.
that yourself, right? Multiple,
Oh
multiple
yeah,
martial
yeah.
arts. Yeah.
I would learn from everybody. There's
Yeah.
one, Chinese combat hand-to-hand system that is more brutal and effective than anything else I've seen. I love that the best, but I am open to learning from
What's
all
the name of the one,
styles.
Craig?
It's scars. It's basically a combat version of Kung Fu Sensu,
Okay. Oh,
and
nice.
it's just
Okay.
brutal. It's brutal. It's you take command of the your opponent's body. They don't have control anymore. And from the moment you make the first strike, you control their balance and their nervous system and the targeting and the techniques are just absolutely devastating.
That's amazing.
Two or three strikes later, their body's wrecked and they can't, they're done.
So when you got to SEAL Team 6 versus SEAL Team 1, what was the like reception like and people welcoming you to the team to that team? Was it different?
Well, for your first year at DevGru, if you open your mouth, everyone yells, "Shut up, new meat,"
That's what I thought. I was wondering. Yeah.
because they've been operating at a high level and you're coming from, another team and you're still learning there.
Right.
And there was a couple things like that, but it's almost like joking. I was received very well, and for that I'm grateful. In fact,
Nice.
I got promoted very early on, within a matter of weeks, to a full-time sniper cell, which normally you have to be there 4 years
Oh
before
wow.
you ever get recruited into that unit because there's more autonomy there, there's more tools, there's different mission sets that you can go into that usually require a more senior maturity and things like that. But so I would have to say I was treated very, very well, and I'm grateful.
Wow.
And I'm honored to have served with, again, if the American people could see these guys
Right.
and see their hearts and see that what they're capable of doing and their culture, they'd be so proud, so proud. We don't talk about the techniques and the details for good reason to
Hmm.
protect them, to protect our brothers.
Right.
But
Exactly.
if the American people only knew, they'd be like, "Oh man, these guys, look, they're my heroes." I look at them in awe,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely. And I mean that's the smallest percentage of all military. It's amazing, right? So.
yeah, yeah.
What was the most valuable lesson you learned while you were serving, Craig?
Oh man, there are so many. The most valuable, I think, is the will to prepare to win
Hmm.
is really paramount. Many people on game day have the will to win. Like, man, I want to win. Well, guess what? You're fat and mushy and you got no cardio and you're going to get destroyed because your opponent is Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
You're
not
climbing
gonna.
into the ring. Now you want to win with too late.
Yeah,
Good luck,
right.
right? If you really wanted to win, you would have prepared years ago leading up to it, like he did. So it's the will to prepare to win. We train hard there, man. And because the will to win is there. And so it's that year round, year after year will to win and that professional discipline to harden yourself and coordinate and prepare for the worst so that you can execute on game day or game night. I think that really that part of the culture is what I think translates to anything else the most valuably.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great lesson for people to learn, right? Because in life, we're always going to be fighting something. So I've always been to the mindset, stay in shape, try to be ready for anything, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
protect your family or whatever the case is, protect yourself. People, when you're out and about, doesn't matter where you're at, where you live, people will look for the people that are weak, right? Just like in the jungle, right? Animals look
sure.
for weak animals, and those are the ones that get attacked. So always be ready to go. So I love that, Craig. Thank you. What was the hardest challenge while serving?
Well, for me, to go back to that swim thing. So in Buds, uh, Captain Bailey was the commanding officer of Buds. He was a Vietnam veteran,
Okay.
and I had been, my heart. I was so dedicated and into that. And if I would fail a swim, it'd be by just a few seconds.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they rolled me back so that I could strengthen my swimming before we went out to the island, which was second phase of Buds at the time. And Captain Bailey, who I had way up here, and he and I had become really, really dear friends. He just passed away a couple months ago.
I'm
God
sorry to
rest
hear
his
that.
soul. But he walked by and he looked at my jacket and my folder, and he's seeing, oh, swims. He's failed uh, several swims, and he's like, "How come your swim's all effed up, son?" And I'm like, "Oh man, he doesn't know. He just knows that I'm a poor performer on the swims." And
You just see the stats. Yeah.
I didn't know why. I was Dave. I can tell you this in all honesty. Throughout the time that it took to swim those 2 miles, I was digging for every ounce of energy I was worth. Every microsecond of those swims, I was digging for all that I was worth. I've never tried that hard at anything in my life before or since.
You're probably trying
So
to
it
figure out
was
what the heck's going on,
it
right?
was agonizing for
Yeah.
me.
Right.
And so to have somebody, a hero that I respected, a legendary warrior that who I wanted to be like, say, how come your swimming's all effed up, son?
Right.
Didn't know me from Adam, just knew that I wasn't performing like I should. He didn't know why. I didn't know why. I just knew that it was the times weren't coming together, and that was hard for me for those reasons because I was horrified by it. And anyway,
Man,
I
it must
got
have been
through
so
it.
tough for you because you've always been at the top for everything, right?
Oh yeah, well I was one of the
And
fastest
then you got really
runners.
humbled by this. It's like, what the heck, right?
Yeah. Yeah, look, the more things that they would have these monster mash type competitions where an obstacle course and then a swim and this and that. And the more things they strung together, the farther ahead I got of all of my classmates. And I liked that sort of thing. I
Right.
thrived on it. And I was proud that I was able to achieve that. And I think I was either the top shooter or one of the top two shooters in
Wow.
the course and one of the top runners. So everything we did, I did well and I did with all my heart and soul. And then the instructor cadre knew that. But the swims, and it was that ankle. And but that, Dave, that was agonizing for me because I
Yeah.
didn't know how to fix it, man.
Right. I can
And
imagine.
so in my
When you got
mind, I was like, what's going wrong?
so when you got rolled back, did you figure it out the second time?
Nope. I just trained
Pushed
so
harder?
much
Wow.
that the ankle and that leg got stronger to some degree. I was able to get more torque and get and pass the swims consistently enough
Okay.
to go ahead and graduate with the strength of everything else I did. So,
Wow.
I was never a great swimmer, but I did realize once I put on the floppy fins that I was gone, man. I was right up there with everybody else.
Can you imagine if you would have done that the first time, you would have had to go through all that, right?
I know. But hey, everything's a character building lesson.
Well, we learned,
Only the
we learned,
Father knows what we really need, and maybe he was just humbling me and causing me to dig deeper still for something that made me stronger. So,
that's a great story. Yeah. Never give up and keep digging more, like you said, right? So that's
yeah,
what you kept doing. So that's a great story of winning. Thank you.
yeah.
So Greg, let's talk about you worked all over the globe. I'm sure you did a lot of missions, right? Can you talk about one that stands out after all these years that you keep thinking about all the time?
Well, what we do at DevGRU stays there, so I don't talk about
And that's why I'm asking whatever one
that.
you can't
Back
talk
at,
about.
at
Yep.
Team One,
Okay.
I would say there was here's one that's memorable for all of us that was there. So I was the lead fast attack vehicle driver for
Okay.
Desert Shield and Desert Storm for Naval Special Warfare. And those are like a sandrail, like an offboard, like a Baja racing buggy,
Yep.
right? Fantastic suspension. These things you could go wide open through all kinds of crazy terrain because the suspension would allow you to do that.
Nice.
And we would back those into helicopters. And we were training before during Desert Shield, before Desert Storm, the actual American active participation in that war kicked in. We were there training. So we would back these things into different helicopters. We were training with different squadrons from Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy, and Army to coordinate with them on inserting us in these things. And we would drive out of them and go recover pilots and then drive out another way. So the contingency was with if a pilot punched out over enemy territory over Iraq, we could go in across enemy lines, recover the pilot before the enemy could get him, and vector out another way, and the helicopter could pick us up in one cycle of darkness before the sun came back up.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what we were training to do. And I'd been selected as a lead driver because I grew up riding dirt bikes and I loved it, and I was able to figure out the terrain and I could drive really fast and smooth. So we were doing that, and it was an Army 47 with a great big fuel bladder in it. So we're backed up right next to this fuel bladder, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat on headphones and ICS, and I can hear the pilots, and the chip sensor kept coming on their system, their computer system, and it said that one of the engines was breaking up. A little chips kept going into the oil filter, so they would do a fixed wing style landing. So if over there and in Saudi Arabia, when they would do a typical rotary wing style landing, it would brown out. All the dust and sand would kick up, and they couldn't see, and it was problematic. So they would do like a fixed wing aircraft. They would do a running landing across the desert floor. So they were doing this right at dusk. Um, the crew chief would jump out, bang out the oil filter, get all the chips off of it, put it right back in. Pilot would reset the computer and would lift off and go again. Well, that happened a couple times, and by the third time, I think it had just gotten dark enough to where the pilots went ahead and went on their NVGs, and so now they're on night vision. They're just getting adjusted to that, and they had to do it again. Well, there was an above ground oil pipeline that they found, and as they're doing this fixed wing style landing, the dust and sand was pushing out in front of them, and they couldn't see that above ground pipeline until they were on it.
Oh,
And I
no.
heard the pilot, the two pilots yelling at each other about it, and they flared so hard, and so the back of the craft is open. So I'm sitting facing the rear, and I'm looking because the helicopter flared completely vertically. I'm looking straight down at the ground, and I'm thinking to myself, how far can they flare until lift is no longer lift anymore? And so we're doing this, and then we land right down on the pipeline, and they get up enough torque. One engine blew, but they got just enough torque to get up off the pipeline and land on the solid ground on the other side. And my team were out of that vehicle. They're like, they all ran. I heard the pilots like going, "Hey guys, that's a scrub mission scrub. we're going to go ahead and RTB at this time. You consolidate with the other bird. I'm like, hey guys, my guys are already over there. Like, see ya. Nothing but a spinning headset in the air. We're out of that crate. So that was one of those things where you're like, ah, because you don't know what's going to happen. If that thing's going to blow up, if the bird's going to crash or whatever. There's a lot of stories like that, but that's just one that kind of stands out. We're like, oh, remember that wild thing? That was a crazy op. So,
Were you like, are we gonna make it out of here or not, or no?
well, yeah, for a minute, because you're like, what the heck's happening? So
Right.
that's why
And
the
you
other
have no
guys were like,
control, right? Yeah.
yeah, you got no, you're just sitting in there. That's one of the things that makes it hairy is you don't have any control and you know it. You're just strapped into this crate. Whatever happens is beyond your control. It's in the hands of the pilots.
That's awesome. Thank you. Can you share a moment that shaped your perspective on life or leadership?
Leadership. There's a man named Jim Cauber
Okay.
who he was a master chief when I was at SEAL Team One.
Okay.
And it wasn't that he had command of the entire team, the unit or anything. It was just his manner of leadership. He was cool. He was cool. He was a cool guy, but he was hardcore in his discipline and he was good at everything. And I just looked to him and I was like, man, that dude is attractive to me as a warrior. I want to be like that guy, a guy who's great at all the skills, um, trains himself, he drills himself. He's a consummate professional, but he's cool, you know, not cool in an irresponsible or reckless way, but just has that cool factor to him. And man, when he would tell you about what terrorists were doing, what the enemy was doing, he knew because he'd been in all the briefings and studying them, what their culture was and what you needed to be prepared for. And I know him and his brother. His brother's at SEAL Team 3, and then I won't go any further, but Jim's got other family that served at another unit that I'd served at, and it's
Oh,
just
wow.
a cool
Multiple people in
family, a
there.
lot of contribution to our national security. But Jim is he's up there with I would say the best role models that I've ever seen as far as combat leadership. So I really appreciated his
Was
presence.
he like really caring about you guys as well?
Oh yeah, he cared, and that's why he trained us so well.
That's
And
what I
uh,
meant.
and
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think there were several guys. Well, SEAL Team One was a really strong team at teaching the combat skills, very disciplined, much more like the Marine Corps
Okay.
um, of the SEAL teams. A very, very strong discipline, and we trained very, very hard there. The skill sets that I got from Jim, I would say, really, really helped me prepare when I went to DEVGRU, and I think that's why it went so well, as I already was kind of had that culture of just do it as well as execute as
You're at
well
the
as you
high level
possibly
thinking
can.
already,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
awesome. Holy cow. That's awesome. So you traveled all over the world. What was the biggest lesson you learned by being in so many different countries?
Well, no people believe that their nation is going to fall or be subjected to warfare.
Yeah.
No family that I've met with, no person around the world ever thought that their nation would be at war and that their entire cities would be torn down and just bombarded into oblivion. And I think that's something um, that we would do well to recognize here in the United States, man. And anything's possible, and we better be careful. We better be diligent and vigilant with what we have. We better assert ourselves as voting citizens and protect what we have and participate in our system. Because if we leave it to the politicians,
Yeah.
they're the ones that start wars with each other. And a warrior is a warrior, Dave.
Yeah.
From the Brit SAS, the Norwegian FSK, the Australian SAS, German GST-9, Army Delta operators, DEVGRU. I mean, all these guys I've cross-trained with, lived with overseas in safe houses, different things. They're all the same culture. A warrior is a warrior is a warrior. They just have different brand weapons, and they may hoist a different brand of ale, when they toast to each other, but they have the same observations. They all love their
Right.
nations, they all love their people, and they're all disappointed at the weakness of their politicians who cause all the problems and troubles and send the warriors to go fix them. So that's a lesson that I learned is that people are universally so very similar,
Yeah.
and it's really the politicians that have the conflict, and they
Yeah,
send the
that's true.
warriors to
Yeah.
go try to solve them,
I think if we could all get together versus being divided, it'd be so much easier, right, in
wouldn't it?
this world, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great lesson. How important is physical fitness and nutrition for you still nowadays, and to keep your mental sharpness?
Well, I'm not sure that I have kept my mental sharpness, Dave. I wonder some days, I would love to just remember everything. And if I have to, pull up a name or something like that, I'm like, man, why is it so slow? But I've done a lot of cleansing of my physical body. I've
Okay,
done oxygen hyperbaric chamber treatment and other treatments, really trying to optimize what I have left for this mission for the children because it's my passion, and I want to be as sharp as I can. I want to do as well and be as effective as I possibly can. There's a burn in me. When I learn what's being done to the children, I'm horrified and I'm outraged about it. And I mean to serve at the highest possible level with what I have and what I can contribute. So I'm my diet is very, very lean. I eat very well. Sometimes I overeat because I'm still used to eating like it's Thanksgiving at every meal. When I was in the SEAL team, I could burn it. Well, now I can't.
right,
And so
exactly.
I'm just having to adjust that. I'm doing a lot more fasting for
Okay,
spiritual and health reasons, and that's helping. And but physical fitness, man, I walk the dogs every morning. I do resistance training, and I try to ride my mountain bike as often as I can and stay fit because, man, your mind benefits from your physical body's state of health
yep,
tremendously so. And
absolutely. Do you
so
eat a lot of meat or more vegetables? What do you do?
I try to stick to meat and veggies
Yeah, I
primarily.
do.
That's
Yep,
if I just stick to those two things, I feel much better.
yep.
If I get busy and add too much other stuff, it seems like I don't feel as well. So
Yeah, yeah. I could actually feel it right away when I eat something bad. Like a couple hours later, it's like, what the hell did I do? So I
yeah,
try to stay away from that as well.
yeah. And I
So you
feel
mentioned
bad. I keep learning the same lesson over and over again. Like, man, you already knew this.
Oh man. So we were talking about with your mind, you did the chamber. Did you ever? I know you probably dealt with PTSD, TBI. Did you do like any psychedelic stem cells or anything like that as well, or what did you do to help with that?
I, I don't know of any stem cell that's available for the brain. If there is, as long as it's honorably sourced, like I understand a lot of what they do with the stem cells, they'll take a placenta instead of throwing it in the dumpster, they'll harvest all the stem cells. I think that's great.
Yeah, the umbilical cord stem cells. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
some guys that have
but
done
I
that.
don't condone harming anybody to get that. And there's
Right,
all kinds of
100%.
stories about what's going on out there with that.
Right.
But that I think's great. I think I've got a friend that's a health coach that says there are other ways to get stem cells from your own body and cause your own body to restore and do that. So I'm looking into that. And what I find though, Dave, is and I want everybody to know this. Not everybody in the United States believes in the spirit realm, even though we are spirit
Yes.
beings in temporary physical bodies. I know that we are. And so when I pray,
Yes.
and I open my heart in gratitude, when I start just thanking the Creator for saving my daughter's life, for this beautiful queen, my wife, brought into my life, for sparing me so many times when it looked like it was over. Miraculously, I'm still here, and for the ability to fight against evil, these wicked pieces of filth who defile and destroy children in unspeakable ways, for the ability to do something about it. I'm just thank you, and I let myself feel the emotion of the gratitude. And when I just do that, it's only a few moments before I feel very close and a very beautiful sense of communion with the Creator. And there's just such healing in that because you can sense how much love is there, how much wisdom and the power and the mercy and the grace of Yahweh,
Yeah,
of Jesus
absolutely.
Christ. And it's overwhelming when you break through and you feel his presence. and you get to sense part of, what he is and the depth of who he really is. It's overwhelming. And now with so many other, I know hundreds and hundreds of Spec Ops warriors who are getting saved and finding the same thing. And it's really, really healing. It's beautiful. And I think that's something that, a lot of us really appreciate who have seen the harder side of life. We've seen dysfunction and evil, and it's really, really beautiful to sense the good side and what counters and overcomes evil. And
Yeah, I
so
love
for
that.
me, that's been really, really
Yeah,
powerful.
I've had a lot of special operators on here, and many of them have turned to God for the
Yeah,
peace as well, which is great. So I'm glad you
yeah,
brought that up. And that's I do the same thing. I dig into the Word daily. I try to listen to Christian music. Spend some time with Him, just you know, talking to Him, meditating, actually having a real relationship with Him, right?
yes, yes,
Because of it's just like it's like if you're if you have a wife, girlfriend, if you're not spending time with them, it's not going to work, right? So the same thing
yeah,
with God. You need to spend that time with Him. Let Him know that you love Him and He loves you, and that definitely is going to give you healing, which is awesome.
yeah,
Can you share with us about Veteran for Child Rescue? What is your mission? How did you get started? What are you guys doing, Craig, please?
yeah, yeah. Well, child trafficking, I got a description shared with me by a friend from the intelligence community
Okay.
in Houston, Texas. We were guys from several agencies were together at a friend's house, and we were smoking some cigars out by the pool one night, just visiting and catching up. And one of them shared with me what he'd been learning there in Houston about the child trafficking. And I was revolted by what I was learning. And I asked him to describe it, and he described how it was run there. And in his description, I realized it was a domestic covert operation
Mhm.
run at industrial scale,
Yeah.
and that there had to be a lot of corruption to allow it. And that's when I felt sickened by it. And I also felt betrayed for being sent around the world to 60 other countries over the decades when the worst evil happening on earth was happening right here in our continental United States against the most worthy of protection, the children, and the least defended, the most vulnerable. And so that's what really ignited my rage against this evil. And I decided that what I had to do was compromise the enemy's mission, meaning compromise, meaning expose it, ruin their
Right.
secrecy. The worst thing to happen to a covert operation is mission compromise. But get exposed so all the locals realize that you're there and what you're doing. And so that's what I meant to do, to put on display to the American citizen, all of them, what's going on right under our nose to our children, so that we can revolt against it, that we can all link arms, lock shields against it, and stand up and say no to this evil and mean it, and change our educational system, change our judicial system, get rid of all the planted district attorneys who a certain globalist billionaire has funded their campaigns to get them in those seats with agreements that they will not prosecute child sex crimes, to get those corrupted gatekeepers out of our system so that we can once again start prosecuting the predators and start cleaning this up. So every major city in the United States has a Soros plant DA. They will not prosecute entire categories of harmful crimes because he funded their campaigns to get them in those seats as a gatekeeper position. That's broken. That has to be undone. We have to evict all Soros plant DAs, period. There are more problems, but that's a big one. So that's what we're doing. Vets for Child Rescue. We filmed Contraland to show the American populace what's going on. And in filming that, I learned that with my federal law enforcement background as a federal criminal investigator, I could run very effective sting operations with federal, state, and local law enforcement, and the predators would come like crazy for the children. And we could show the American people how many are out there and how vile and vulgar and how quickly they'll come for any child with just a benign social media presence and that if your child is online to any degree, it's not a matter of if, but when they are approached by predators in the most disgusting ways. And sometimes when our chatters show their phone chats to law enforcement, the arrest teams, they'll break them, they'll cry because they'll see a precious little girl or boy just online, not wanting to do with anything with sex. The level of language and the vulgar imagery of men's genitals and what the men say they want to do to the children, you're like, who would say such things, even to a grown adult, let alone a child? Child has
Right, right.
no
Yeah.
comprehension of these sort of things. So no wonder it breaks the law enforcement, even military veteran law enforcement. I've seen them break and cry and go and walk into the corner with their hands over their head, and it's just not natural behavior to do this to children. There's something very, very dark behind it. So,
Yeah, I just rewatched it last night, Craig, because I knew we were going to be on today, and it just it just opens your mind a lot more when you're seeing federal people doing it, military people doing it. It doesn't matter
yeah,
what background you have, right?
yeah,
People think that you're safe with someone, and then you're never safe unless you really, really know that person.
yeah,
So, uh,
true.
is are you guys working with the government at all? Besides the
Yeah.
like high
Oh, yeah.
level to
Yeah,
get all this
there's
exposed?
yeah, there's up to 9 agencies involved in any one of our operations.
Are you guys
And
still doing the stings as well?
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
we have more in different levels of planning right now than we've ever had, thank God. And we know several cabinet members now and have some pretty good access. So we're grateful and we're hopeful for what's coming. And there are great indications that things are improving. So, man, after such a dark time in previous administrations, it's nice to see the pendulum swinging back to something more positive, more effective, and more safe for the children and more healthy for the American citizens.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I saw you guys were also fighting, making sure that people didn't come in from the border, bringing kids in, right? You guys still
Oh
working
yeah,
on that?
yeah, we've done so as I was a Marine Corps scout sniper among other qualifications in my lifetime and Navy SEAL sniper. So one of our missions and utilized a lot of those skill sets. We would climb up in the mountains and camouflage ourselves and observe and report traffickers bringing children into the United States or dope loads to Border Patrol and BORTAC. And, we've done that quite a bit. So,
And
and
do you
we've
have
recovered.
a lot of different operators helping you guys out with this mission, or how do people
Yeah.
help?
Yeah.
How do
I've
people
got,
participate in this?
yeah, I've got a lot that want to help. A lot of what we do are the investigations, though, and the stings here at continental United States, and it's mostly a law enforcement function. But in the surveillance portion of our operations, and the protection of our high threat operations, we do bring in tier one operators and other operators that are applicable to each operation from throughout my journey. So it's great that I can pull a lot of my friends in and do this. And so, like I said before, so many Spec Ops veterans are finding Jesus Christ, and it's these guys that I know and trust the most now because
Right.
they subscribe to an ethic where they will not betray you, they won't lie to you and turn on you to hook themselves up. These are the guys that eliminate the buffoonery in their lives, and they're straight, honorable, trustworthy guys
That's
because they
awesome.
subscribe to a higher standard through Jesus Christ. And so it's cool to see some of the strongest, fiercest, most capable warriors all now finding Jesus Christ and improving themselves even more,
That's
purifying and strengthening themselves even more.
well, it's
And
biblical, like to protect the children, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
So that's a really cool part of the journey. So I'm able to pull these guys in as we can. I would love to do it a lot more, though, Dave. I really would. So as our operations grow and our surveillance needs grow, I'm able to reach to more of our brothers and utilize them in that
So
capacity.
are the operations more are work more effectively, or do the surveillance work more for you? Where are you seeing a better
Well, the
result?
surveillance is in support of the operation. So if you want to arrest somebody, you got to know where and where they are.
Right.
So a lot of it's that.
So it's combined.
And yeah,
So both apply then. Okay.
yep, yep.
Perfect. Perfect. And how do people reach out? They want to come out and help?
They can go to v4cr.org.
Okay.
That's the short version, or vets4childrescue.org is the website. They can watch Contraland at contralandmovie.com and share it with everybody that you care about. Share it with your elected officials and urge them to support us and reach out because we love relationships with anybody that means business on safeguarding the children. So we've got to fully expose this covert operation of child trafficking domestically, because let's face it, Dave, Health and Human Services was in a full-on child trafficking operation. They were hiring a company, among others, called MVM out of Northern Virginia to covertly smuggle children from other nations and from our border, unaccompanied minors, to traffickers deep in the interior of our nation, covertly in the dark of night, like you would a narcotics drop if you're a drug runner, or a covert weapons drop in the covert operations in the intelligence community. So moving children in the dark of night, after hours, when it's illegal to land, with illegal tail numbers that they stick on and tear off, just like like you wear a different baseball cap. They just
Right.
change the tail numbers nilly-willy. FAA doesn't do anything because they're all in on it. And the local sheriff's department, freeing up the highways to let them run the children without patrolling in certain windows, and illegal flight manifests that say cargo instead of souls, and
Oh my
20 or
God.
30 children taken off these aircraft. So um, I hope that everybody at Health and Human Services that was responsible for that gets prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We haven't heard of any arrest yet, but it has to happen. And same thing with MVM. Uh, Anybody that's running that or was part of those operations needs to be prosecuted and convicted in a court of
Absolutely.
law for trafficking children, delivering innocent children to traffickers. I don't know how many may be still alive. They may not, none of them might be alive anymore. I don't know. But that has to be investigated. We can't just leave it sit. It's an atrocity that happened on our watch. It's been discussed in open congressional session. Everybody knows that it happened. There's no question about it. It just has to be prosecuted in good faith. So it's that, there's just a matter of, if you want your nation to recover and heal, you have to drive the evil from your land. And that means cleaning up the swamp and
Now, are these
prosecuting
people
those who
getting
have
sucked
ruined
in
it.
because it's so profitable, Craig?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weak men do it because there's money in it, or they want either the wealth or the power. They're just the two things. And at any level, the highest level
Yeah.
of global corruption or at their lowest level, it's the same dynamic, just a different aspect of it. They all are just weak souls who are willing to do anything for wealth and power. And as it turns out, what the commodity is that the fallen want done is they want the children defiled, the children destroyed, the children traumatized, and so that they never find their creator. On the spiritual side, it's all about defiling and deeply traumatizing and making bitter the children. If they do
Right.
survive it at all, they want them just outraged and bitter, and so that um, they never find their creator and they find their power and their
So,
salvation.
so we have low-level people, we got government people, and we have high-level people, the elites that are
Yeah.
taking kids and killing kids as well for their benefit, right?
Yeah, they sacrifice them in rituals. It's really gory and dark. And there's organ harvesting, which is another aspect of the big money.
Planned
But
Parenthood,
JFK
right?
warned us. Dave,
Planned Parenthood was
JF,
involved in that, right?
what's that?
Planned Parenthood was involved in that, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were. Yeah. Yeah, Veritas and others exposed them, and you can catch their key personnel talking about it on covert video about how they were trafficking the children and trafficking the children's parts and all that. And on a spiritual level, if you can eradicate a third of the population before they ever get out of the womb, that's something that the American populace is not really conscious of, the spiritual nature of that war on mankind. But they think it's just, another form of birth control, a convenient form of birth control. But it's something bigger than that. Christians understand it, but the other rest of the society don't really comprehend what that really is. So, um, we've just got to educate people on what's really going on, the nature of it,
Yeah,
so that
when you get this
we can
information
fix
out
it.
daily, I think
Yeah,
because a lot of
yeah,
people are not aware of it. I mean, I've been following this for a long time, and you and I spoke a little bit about it before we got started here with Tom Cruise's movie. The elites are doing those parties, and they're all involved.
yeah,
It's like most people are not even aware that that's happening, right? They're just watching regular
yeah.
media and have no clue.
JFK warned us about the secret societies, and that's why people want to be in secret societies is for wealth and power. And what we're finding in all of our investigations for 8 years is that the the price of admission to be in these secret societies where you get hooked up temporarily and foolishly so, but you get hooked up to a degree, is you've got to defile and destroy children on video in a way that um, most healthy, sane humans would never stoop to. So, in a lot of these institutions, the model of it is the same. You
Right.
take Nexium and the Scientology and a lot of these others, it's all the same template. And at the top, it's utterly satanic. And people at the lower levels may say, "Oh, that's not true." Well, they don't know. There's a lot of people that have come out, whistleblowers, talking about the different institutions, how they're all run off basically the same exact model, and it's all ultimately for the same motive, wealth and power, and there's always children involved in it. So,
And a lot of these people are not getting exposed because they're part of that elite group and they have the money, right? Kind of
right.
like Epstein, right?
Yeah, the by the protection. So the corruption that goes so far that, if somebody does get exposed and the investigation begins, there's someone in that pipeline that'll turn it off. Like there's extensive corruption in Nashville, Tennessee right now with child trafficking, a network of child trafficking that was transferred from Nashville to Nashville from New York.
Oh, wow.
And so there was a 71 arrests and warrants gained on vile child traffickers and child predators there. And there was a whole RICO case that was going against the corruption, and someone in DC stopped that investigation and cut it off. So there's corruption. There are people installed strategically in different parts of the pipeline to stop justice, to stop investigations so that the crime can continue. It's very, very ugly, very disappointing, but the whole thing has to be exposed and torn down so that we can have justice and safety for the children.
It seems like that process needs to be changed somehow where they don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
access to
Yeah,
stop
you
that,
need a
right?
big wrecking ball, but it's got to be done with precision. It's got to be done with
Right.
care. How do you
Tactically. Yeah.
go and tear down a wicked kingdom? If you're heavy-handed and you throw the baby out with the bathwater, you've done harm. You've done more harm still.
Right.
So I've written out a plan, Dave, and I'm disappointed not to have heard from Cash Patel yet or Dan Bongino on it.
Oh,
But
wow.
I blew the whistle on a high-ranking SES level executive from the FBI as a manager. I was a manager of a Las Vegas Air Marshal field office with 210 agents to manage. And I blew the whistle on a guy who was utterly corrupt and was ruining my best agents' careers with false accusations against them.
Oh, man.
And instead of coming in and investigating him, they allowed him to retaliate against my family and use terror tactics against my family. When he'd send me out of town, he would terrorize my family with other agents from his wife's FBI field office there in Las Vegas. And so I blew the whistle. I notified all the agencies that are supposed to intervene for a national security whistleblower. They all failed me. Scott Block, no wonder the OSC didn't help me. Scott Block was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his corruption. Merit Systems Protection Board, all of them failed because they were all corrupt. 2 years later, they fired David Knowlton for gross mismanagement and retaliation, exactly what I'd reported him for. I was righteous in blowing the whistle on it, but it cost me my entire federal career. So that type of corruption needs to be broken. Because I was in the middle of that retaliation, I wrote down a complete plan on how to break it. And I'm making it known publicly. Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, I have this plan. This is what is needed to systematically break the FBI of its deep corruption. Please contact me. I very much want to share this plan. It needs to be executed so that it will be purged no matter who's in charge, who's president, if you purge it, you can purge it now of its deep corruption and get it back onto an honorable charter and culture. And you can't just change the head shed, or it'll be rancid from the neck down until you're gone. So that I will very much want to contribute. So I appreciate you allowing me to say that, Dave, because I believe God allowed me to go through that hostility and loss for a reason. It'll all have been worth it if I'm allowed to share this plan and it's executed and restores the FBI to honor
That would be
and
great.
to justice and to legitimacy again, like it deserves to be.
Have you talked to either one of them, Bongino or Patel?
I met Dan once, but it was
Okay,
before um, his cabinet position now, and I've not met Cash yet, but I know people that know them. I'm making it known. Haven't heard back from them yet, so
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
hopeful.
definitely reach out to Sawman. If he has a plan that could help out, let's turn it around and make everything correct, right? Or make it better,
Yes, exactly.
which is awesome. I love that. All right, so we spoke about you being a believer, and thank God we have light on us, Craig, to help us and shape us shape us. Uh, what shaped that belief in you, and how has faith changed your life? You talked a little bit about that, but
Yeah,
how did that belief come into you? Was that from your father initially?
it was. Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yeah, I just watched his sincerity, in all honesty, just watching him live it 24/7. You know, you hear about pastors who are not sincere. They're one person in the pulpit, another person at home. Not him.
nice.
I mean, he was just sincere. He loved God with all his heart. I watched him pray and fast and give and make hard decisions and just love people. And I saw the result of his service. He was just a selfless man who just changed so many lives, and the love that he had. And the more I read the Bible now, and I'll be honest, for a lot of my adult life, I wasn't really living like him at all.
Right,
I saw his level of walk as unattainable. I'm like, that's not realistic. He's so, I thought, religious. It wasn't about religion for him. It was a true relationship with his creator. I could see that now. But it wasn't until I found out about child trafficking. One of the agents actually told me, Dave, is sitting there, we're burning cigars. He said, because I said, I got to fight this. I'm gonna go attack these wicked people that are doing this to children. He goes, yeah, with your conventional badge and gun, you're gonna find out that you're only an investigations technique. You're only gonna get so far.
right,
He goes, because he goes, whether you understand this yet or not, this is a spiritually motivated crime and it's a spiritually protected crime. And he goes, and if you don't figure out how to penetrate that spiritual veil, you're never going to quite find what you're looking for. And I knew he was right, Dave, but I wasn't that high level spiritual warrior. I knew my dad was. My dad could
right,
have been, but my dad had already just passed away. And I was like, oh, I feel all alone. And it's like God saying, yeah, time to grow up spiritually, son. It's time to Jesus for yourself now. Not let your daddy Jesus for you, right? Not under your banner of your mommy and your daddy Jesusing for you, and you can't call them and ask them questions anymore. Read my word yourself, grow yourself, pray to me yourself, and grow closer. And I'll teach you how to fight this filth. I'll let you participate in my war, son. So that's what it's been. Since then, that ignited my pursuit of that personal, intimate relationship with Yahweh. And I wouldn't trade it for anything because the beauty, the healing, the wisdom, and the assets, the relationships that he's brought, it's just supernatural. It's inexplicable in the natural sense,
right.
and so many things that have happened are supernatural and beautiful and powerful. So we're just learning and growing, and it's just learning. If you really want good things for people, you have to find out why they're not good
Right.
and then set about doing something about why it's not good. So in practical application, we're having to learn why people do ridiculously ugly things to children on such a scale. Well, it's spiritually motivated.
Right.
Well, that requires a higher spiritual power to counter that. That's why my team are all now strong Christians, and that, the strong spec ops warriors are coming, and God's building this exposure of this evil. That's why it's all happening that way. That's how it works. So, in that space, in that part of my journey, brother, I'm just running to the Father, running to King Jesus.
I love it. And what a great example of having a good role model, right? And
Yes,
and
yes.
the Bible says plant the seed in your kids and they'll eventually come around,
Bingo. And
right?
I'm a classic example of that. I'm sure there are many years when my parents were
Uh,
praying and shaking their head and going, when's he going to break the code? When's he going to figure it out? Just like my kids, they're good kids, right? They love people. They're better people, I think, than I was in my youth. And I'm like impatient. I want them to find Jesus to the degree that I have. And my wife's like, look at how long it took you. Like, be
right.
patient.
That's
Have
true.
the faith. And I'm like, okay, but I just want it for them. So
Yeah, I can
anyway,
imagine your dad was so proud of you all these years, but he's especially proud of you now, brother. You know,
yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
I can't
holy
wait to see
cow.
him again and say, hey, I finished strong, didn't I, Papa?
That's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you, brother. You're a
Thank
great
you.
man.
Thank you.
Great job. What do you do every day to make sure you have God as your focus?
Well, I wake up praying.
Okay.
I go to sleep praying.
Yep.
And the first thing I try to do is read the word every morning. Now, sometimes now I walk the dogs first because it's over 100 degrees here. I try to get them done before I burn their feet.
Oh, that's true.
So I get up at like 4:45 or 5 and walk them. But it's daily reading of the word and that prayer time. Because that's when I'll read the word and it's a beautiful time, but it's when I stop and I pause and I just ask him what I'm to learn from it that it opens up. The Bible says many times, meditate on my word, not just read it, but meditate on it, right? Stop and ponder and let the lesson unpack itself more deeply from the Father himself. He will. If you get into that space where you're just there in gratitude, like, thank you, Father, what would you have me know from this? What is a deeper meaning? Because there's layers to all of it. The wisdom, the supernatural wisdom of the Creator himself had that text written for our knowledge, our empowerment, and our intimate relationship with him. So it's wild to have that just start opening up and going, oh wow, you know. And then reading in the Hebrew, the original Hebrew language, the spiritual context and meaning is much deeper and more powerful than in the translation to English.
Oh, wow.
So I encourage everybody, yeah,
So
go
you're doing
some of
that,
the
reading the Hebrew Bible?
not reading the Hebrew Bible, honestly, there's a YouTube channel that takes one Hebrew phrase or word at a
Okay.
time, and they're like 12-minute videos, and they just unpack it like
Oh,
the word
nice.
tetelestai, Jesus Christ on the cross, he said tetelestai, and well, in our English translation it says it's finished. Well, that's beautiful and good, like his work is finished,
Right.
right? But tetelestai has an entirely more beautiful and deep and powerful meaning in that it is paid in full. And in that culture, if someone paid for a slave or someone who was in debt paid for all of their debts, it means that every aspect of their lives was broken in that enslavement and they owed nothing to anyone. They could go anywhere and do anything. They were completely free. All of their debts, anything over them was completely broken and paid in full. They were completely free.
Love it.
So
Yeah,
there's just a tiny snapshot
that's good. I'm going to find
example.
that YouTube channel.
Tetelestai,
Yeah.
he had come to pay for our debt, right? He was the
Right.
sacrificial lamb. He was the sacrifice. He made himself that. If the fallen had known what he was up to, they never would have allowed his crucifixion to happen.
That's true.
Especially, and after he died, he went down into hell and gave a gangster version of the gospel and told them how they were utterly defeated and he had just done it. And then 3 days later, he walked out of the grave for over 500 people to see for 40 days. And he walked around testifying, telling everybody, showing people that he was the victor and he was the king. He was God Almighty. So it's just, one word tetelestai, it has a lot deeper meaning than It is finished. So it's in researching those things. It's just, whoo, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
It's great to start your day off with the Bible, right? But
Yeah.
meditate on it as well. I do the same exact thing and just think about, what is he trying to tell me? What am I supposed to do? Because as soon as we get up, our brain is gone somewhere else,
Yeah.
moving throughout the whole day. So if you start your day off correctly, it makes a huge, huge impact for you, everyone and like Craig said, and I said as well, a lot of operators are doing it, a lot of veterans are doing it. And you don't have to be an operator or a veteran. Just, you could be an individual. Just it's going to help you and help your life, help your family, and help guide you to be free, like God said.
Yeah.
And then that really backfired on them, like you were saying, darkness, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, they would have never let him, crucified him if they knew that he was going to bring everybody freedom and life and stuff. So I kind of envision that, envision that's what you're doing, Craig, with the kids, bringing life and freedom to them as well. And that's something we definitely need to get out there and help people do that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, brother. It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
Craig, people that are stuck out in the world right now, whether veterans or not, how can they succeed if they're not sure what they want to do?
Hmm. When I've had friends or contacts that have asked me, how do you know God's real? I'm like, ask him. Get alone.
Right,
If you dare, get alone, get quiet in a place that you know is safe. You're not going to be interrupted. And ask him, Father, reveal yourself to me. You're my creator. If you're my creator, if you're there, reveal yourself to me. Let me sense your presence and wait. And he will. And so I would say if you don't know why you're here, if you don't see a life's mission or plan, only he knows. Only the one that spoke you into existence, that knew you before you were even in your mother's womb, knows what the optimal possibility is for your life. So I would say first get to know him. Second, ask him, Father, what do you have for me? Because he wants only good things for his children, only good. He wants incredibly good things for us. So he will reveal that. When you're reading in his word and you're praying to him and seeking his direction, there, look, folks, prayer is a two-way communication.
right,
Um, it- when you read in the Bible, you'll see that that's very much the case. It seems like nowadays in our culture, that is kind of occulted away from us. Like it's almost like we're taught to not expect any real communication back from our creator. We're just like to say, God is great, God is good, bless our food. And bless my friend Dave Diaz because he's good. Thank you. It's like sending a one-way communication, but not expecting to learn back. He has things for us. How do you think Moses got the or Noah got the plans for the ark?
right, exactly,
Right?
right,
How do you think Moses knew what to say to Pharaoh? How do you think David knew how to slay Goliath? I mean, there is two-way communication. We're meant to have an intimate relationship with our Heavenly Father. So I would say that is the only way you're really going to be fully satisfied and fulfilling your life's purpose. There's a plan. There is an optimal possibility for your life. That is how you find it. Get alone, get quiet, learn to hear his voice, seek it, read his word, and calibrate your heart to his. A lot of the Bible's showing how it goes when people choose their own way, which is the way of the fallen.
right,
It's
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
one and the same. It's selfish. I want my will. That's the way of the fallen. That's the way of this earth, the flesh. And it goes bad. His higher way is more beautiful, more perfect, more pristine than ours. And when we choose his way and we listen, it goes better. So the Bible's a love story of how it's gone throughout human history when people chose their way or the fallen, or they've chosen God's way. There's all this whole story, and you learn from all of it, and you learn to want what he wants, to love what he loves, and to hate the harm and dysfunction that he hates. And in that process, you grow close to him and you learn to hear more and more from him. So it's in that intimate, quiet time that he reveals what he wants you to do. If you ask him, and I ask him, Father, let me be in your will. Let me never be a bad witness. Father, guide me, speak to me, speak to me. And he's like, I am. So the one time I was begging him, Dave, I was pathetic. I was like, Father, guide me, guide my life. Just don't let me get it wrong. Like reveal to me what you would have me do. Like open the doors that I'm to go through. And I don't know why I know he was smiling, but I know he was smiling. But and I heard not audibly, but just a knowing, I
Yeah.
am.
Yep.
Like he already was. I was like, I'd already been into Vets for Child Rescue and made all these arrests and made Contraland and all this stuff. And I'm begging him. And he's just like, son, I am. You don't recognize it yet.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
I learned to start hearing his still small voice and understanding which compulsions were from him, right? Because it lines up with his word and it ends up being good. So it's that. It's just kind of a funny thing how we learn to hear his voice because it's not audible. It's like someone has told you a sentence. You haven't heard it, but like the thought, like, where'd that come from? And it's either in line with his word or it's not.
Right.
If it's in
Absolutely.
line with his word, it's him, right?
Yeah.
If it's good and positive, it's him. So anyway,
Did
that,
you pray a lot when you were on the when you were in the service?
I did. I did.
But you didn't have that personal connection.
It was more like
Yeah. I was the same way.
it was a warrior's prayer. Father, let us prevail, protect my brothers as we
Got
go
it.
and smash the enemy. Be with us, my king. It was that, but I wasn't intimate with him. I wasn't listening back. I
Okay.
didn't know to listen that I could hear him. And so it wasn't until about 3 years ago, Dave,
Oh, wow. Very
that I
recent.
learned to hear his still small voice.
Okay.
What a beautiful time. What a tremendous impact.
Wow.
Big emotional unpacking for me, for Craig Sawyer. The
Wow.
first time I know that I heard his voice.
Wow. That's
And then it
amazing.
was him. It was overwhelming. Beautiful. So yeah.
Well,
I,
we're gonna
I
go ahead, sir.
no, I was just I did pray as a warrior, but it was a one-way prayer
Got it.
and faith that he heard me, but not expecting to hear back and have his guidance.
Love
So
it. What's one part of your story that the world needs to know that you haven't talked about before?
man, I think we've talked about
Talked
a lot
about
of
all
it.
that. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
there's
Okay.
no secret that I would have them know other than
Okay.
what we've shared. I think that
Love it.
if people hear that, I do expect it and hope that it blesses them. I really do.
Awesome. If you were 20 years old today, what path would you take or what advice would you give anyone to do, what kind of path they could take?
Yeah, well,
Knowing everything you know now.
yeah, okay. So my sniper crew from SEAL Team 6 have all been saved and follow Jesus
Oh,
Christ
no
now,
way.
except for
Wow.
one, our
That's
crew leader, and
amazing.
he's a
Holy
beautiful
cow.
soul. I love
Praise
him. He was
God.
a great leader, great
Wow.
warrior, and we got together recently, and we were just all sharing, and we're like, those of us who are followers of Christ now, we're like, we're so much stronger now. Can you imagine if we were young warriors and we as a crew all served King Jesus to the degree that we did? We would have been like Joshua's men or King David's men. We would have been amazingly powerful because we could
Wow.
have been getting downloads straight from the Father. He would have been ambushing our enemies the way that is demonstrated in the Bible, and because we would have been a high level worship and prayer as we were making war on our enemies, and we would have been united in a love that is so strong, and a cohesion and a gel that unites warriors under a banner of the Most High King. That we're like, could you imagine, brothers? We all said that if we had this back then, because we were a good sniper crew even then. But if we had this level of connection with the creator, then we would have been tremendous. So I would say that is
Right.
what I would say to my 20-year-old self. Tune in to your father, and you could really be like King David. That's where King David's power came from. It's all from the Almighty. It was above his physical capabilities. That's why he was powerful.
Yeah, because you always had that vision since you were a kid. That's when we started talking about that, right? But you didn't
Yep.
have that actual communication and connection,
Yes, sir.
which you were lacking. Wow, I love it.
Exactly.
That's an amazing story. Holy cow. What's the best advice a mentor ever gave you about life, leadership, or business?
That really, it's about others.
Yes.
Get yourself out of the way. Don't let it be about you. Let it be about your teammates and those surround you, and you will be better. You will be better off, and they will too. I think that's a good one. I listened to some degree. I wish I'd have listened to that more in hindsight. I did listen, but I think more would have even been better
Right, exactly.
for
Well,
sure.
good thing is we're always growing and getting closer to God, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, it was like 10 years ago, but it took me a while too. It's like, hey, that hard head of yours needs to go away, right? So,
yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, and then that a process, man, because I still sometimes I want my way. And, my pastor preached yesterday. He said, be gentle
Right.
with those who come against you. And I'm like, ooh, that's hard. Because a warrior and a fighter, man, I want to crush the fools that come against me. You want to attack me with, I'm just trying to fight for the children. You're going to attack that? I will smash you and make you sorry you ever came against me. And the pastor's like, that's not what the Father said. That's not
What
what
can
Yeshua taught. I'm
happen?
like, oh, you're right. Let me do better.
Yeah.
And I have gone back and caught myself over the years when I smash these trolls that come and say, you work for Hillary. I'm like, that's so ridiculous. Stop that. Um, Now I'm just determined to just deal more gently with these people, the dysfunction, the broken, the traumatized, and even those that serve the kingdom of darkness that attack me to try to reduce my support for the mission. I'm choosing to deal with them in a more gentle, peaceful way.
Yeah.
So my pastor gave me a lot of credit for already doing that. And I'm like, ooh, he's giving me credit for it, but am I really? Because I still stumble. And so I've just rededicated myself to just deliberately, even though I want to smash them, just saying, don't, Craig, obey your father's laws, his way. He
Right.
showed us the way.
Yeah.
Follow it. If you really love him, you'll follow his laws. You'll follow his ways. Well, I really love him. So I'm pushing my will aside, my pride, my ego aside, and just being more gentle, more
Right.
peaceful. Still speak truth, but do it in a compassion for them because maybe they're traumatized. Maybe they've been through the ringer and don't know. So
That's true. That's a good point.
yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
like what Jesus did, just lived his life with kindness and loving, but when he had to, he did get angry.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I would say probably 99% of the time, peace, loving, and kindness around everyone, I think,
yeah.
which is pretty good. So some people can reach out to you to help and support, and also give as well, right? For the
Yeah, yeah, we're a nonprofit org, so moving men and equipment around the country to make war on those who are making war on children, to put these predators in prison, to stop their rampage against the children takes money. One operation could cost 25,000 if we fly a bunch of chatters and intel team and a drone team and security guys to another state, another city. There's lodging, there's food, there's rentals, there's airfare. It adds up real quick, and we can't do it without people funding us. You see these corrupted NGOs. They've just pulled billions of dollars from USAID, and that was being poured into every corrupt NGO for every false organization and charity out there. And it seems like those of us getting real results and real arrests have a hard time tapping in any real funding. We need it. There's an infinite level of good that we could bring with that level of funding. So I would encourage people,
Well, hopefully
please
we
help
could
us in that
get
way.
some billionaires on your side as well, brother, right? To
Yeah,
help out because the other side has billionaires helping them out, high level government guys,
they do.
and that's just mind blowing that the government was involved in that, right? A lot of people
Yeah,
eyes are opening that and you know as well as I do, Craig. Doesn't matter what organization you go to, there's always going to be good and bad people, no matter what you do.
true.
So,
That's a fact.
which is pretty tough. All right,
And
any
even the government contracts, I mean, with our investigations and intel team, they are really sharp. They're really clever. They're really connected, and they know a lot about what's going on. We can make a lot of contributions to different agencies' operations if they would contract us out as
Oh,
subject
that's a good
matter
point. Yeah,
experts
I
on
didn't
some
think
of
of
this
that.
because we could really help because
So
we're in it.
do you partner with pretty much every state or try to?
Yeah, Yeah, we're in all 50 states.
Okay, so they could reach out to you. Awesome. And what's the website again, Craig?
V4CR.org. We use the
Okay,
number 4.
perfect. All right. Pretty much, we're pretty much wrapped up. Any last words you'd like to say?
No, just thank you, Dave. I really want to honor you for lifting this subject up to your viewers and your followers. That's an act of faith and courage. People don't want to hear about this because it means that they need to step up and help do something. So they turn and they hide from evil. And it's the morally courageous who stand up and say no. And you've just committed that act of moral courage by standing up and exposing this and sharing the truth with those people that you care about who follow your work. So bless you, brother,
Thank you,
for doing
brother.
this. This is a
Thank,
service.
thank you so much. I'm trying to do God's work too, brother. So whichever way I can. It's
Right
been an
on.
absolute honor having you on today. Thank you for your sacrifice, your leadership, and your example. You don't just serve, you continue to serve by helping others, helping children that are under attack. And for our audience tuning in, share, follow, and subscribe. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can change lives, save kids. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you, and thank you for listening and following.